I instruct the host to start live streaming the meeting. Welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. I am the Mayor, Councillor Jasmine Nguyen. I declare this meeting open at 7:01 p.m. I would like to welcome the members of the public who are viewing tonight's council meeting. The purpose of a council meeting is to conduct the business of council in an orderly and constructive manner. A recording of the meeting will be published on council's website. Please stand for the acknowledgement of country. On behalf of Brimbank City Council, we will act in the best interest of the Brimbank community. And we respectfully acknowledge and recognize the Wurundjeri and Bitterung peoples as the traditional custodians of this land and pay respects to elders past, present, and current, and future. This land was never ceded and we are working on stolen land. I ask councillors to remain standing for the council commitment. As a council, we will act in the best interest of the Brimbank community and consider the immediate and long-term impacts of our decisions. We will make these decisions fairly and without bias. We will uphold all of our obligations under the laws of Victoria and council's local laws and will act in accordance with our code of conduct. Councillors may now sit. There are no apologies for this evening. Councillor Lancashire has submitted a leave of absence for the period of the 16th of September to the 2nd of October 2022, and Councillor Dan has submitted a leave of absence for the period of the 14th of September to the 30th of September in 2022. May I please have a mover of a motion to grant these requests? Councillor David.
Move the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor David. Is there a seconder? Councillor Liu.
I'll second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Councillor David, would you like to speak on the motion?
No, Madam Mayor.
And Councillor Liu, would you like to speak?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other councillors? I'll now put the motion to vote. All those please raise your hand if you're in favour. And that motion carries. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? There are none. And may note that the 2022 Victorian state election is scheduled to be held on the 26th of November in 2022. Therefore, in accordance with section 6.2.1 of the conduct during election period policy, which forms part of Brimbank governance rules, a councillor who is a prospective candidate should declare their intended candidacy at a meeting of the council as soon as practicable after notifying the Chief Executive Officer. Councillors, please note that these declarations are not motions and the governance rules do not permit debate. Are there any declarations of intended candidacy? Councillor Liu.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to dedicate, intend to notify you I'm a prospective candidate for the upcoming election in November, and I will be seeking leave soon as I'm nominated as candidate for the election. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, and congratulations on your candidacy. There is one item to be designated as confidential. May I please have a mover of a motion to designate the item as confidential? Councillor Borg.
I'll move the motion as per business papers.
Appreciate that. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rashid.
Second the motion as per business papers. Thank you.
Councillor Borg, would you like to speak on this motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
And Councillor Rashid?
No, thank you, Madam.
Would any other council like to speak on this motion? I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. We'll also need a mover of a motion to confirm the minutes of the previous council meetings. Is there a mover? Councillor Liu.
I'll move the minute for the previous meeting, Madam Mayor. as per business paper.
Thank you, Councillor. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rasic.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor, would you like to speak on that?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
And Councillor Rasic?
No, thank you.
Any councillors want to speak on this? If not, we'll go ahead to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. There are no condolences for this evening and no congratulations either. Mr. Sakurai, I understand we have received questions from the public.
Yes, we have, Madam Mayor. The first question is from Debbie Stefanovsky, who asks, does the Mayor know that even when access to the turnaround at Esmond Street RDA is not restricted by parked vehicles within the turnaround or opposite the turnaround, where there is a driveway to Esmond Street as well as road frontage, waste trucks and vehicles with trailers are unable to use the turnaround and so reverse back up Esmond Street?
Thank you for your question. I'll ask the council officer to provide you with a response.
The second question is also from Debbie Stefanovsky, Madam Mayor, who asks, has the Mayor seen the evidence of both waste trucks reversing up Esmond Street and the loitering evidence shown to council over several years?
Yes, I've heard to that. I'll ask the council officer to investigate and respond. Thank you.
The third question is from Carly Deegan, who asks, would council please detail its efforts to take compliance action against owners that do not pick up after their dogs? And would council please reconsider its decision to only provide dog waste bags in off-lead parks, noting that other metropolitan councils provide dog waste bags in all parks frequented by dogs?
Thank you. So council's animal management officers undertake regular patrols across the municipality to promote responsible pet ownership and carry out animal management enforcement action. The patrols will be increased at the Sunbelt Community Park to address this issue. In relation to the provision of dog waste bags, council provides this service at all off-lead parks, as this has been identified as the area of the greatest demand for this service.
The next question is also from Carly Deegan, Madam Mayor, and it is, can council please detail why Kevin Wheelerhan Gardens continues to be classified as a neighbourhood park and not as a suburban park, and therefore deserving of increased investment by council, especially given Kevin Wheelerhan Gardens is strategically placed near the centre of Sunshine and therefore close to significant apartment and townhome developments, which are particularly reliant on quality outdoor public space.
Kevin Whelan Garden includes a neighborhood playground and over time has developed with a focus on memorials, which includes the Vietnam War Memorial, an avenue of honor of pin oak trees, acknowledging the victims of World War I, and English oak trees planted along the Devonshire Road frontage to commemorate the end of World War I. At this stage, based on the provision of a flagship park, which is the Sunbelt Community Park, and a suburban park at the Matthew Hills Reserve, which is in proximity to Kevin Whelan Gardens, there are currently no plans to change the classification of the gardens.
Madam Mayor, Jamie Ramsey asks, this council has chosen to pay the maximum allowance for a council this size to the mayor, which is $120,000 a year, and deputy mayor, which is $60,000 a year, while many people in Brimbank are doing it tough and surviving on much less. Can this council reassure residents that there is accountability in the role of mayor and deputy, given the poor outcomes we have seen around advocacy and limited community engagement, given residents are going to councillors outside their own wards for assistance?
Allowances for the mayors, deputy mayors, and councillors are set by the Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal. Individual councils do not choose the amount of allowances to be paid to mayors and deputy mayors. You can find further information at www.vic.gov.au/Victorian Independent Remuneration Tribunal.
Next question is also from Jamie Ramsey, Madam Mayor, and he asks, can this council advise if this current council can rule out re-electing someone who has already served a term as mayor or deputy mayor?
Every councillor of Brimbank City Council is eligible to be elected the mayor.
The next question, Madam Mayor, is from Gary Egan, who asks, could the CEO explain why there are ongoing extensive delays in the construction of the shared paths and other works in Sydenham Park? Can she advise the planned opening date of the park to the public?
I'm not aware of the CEO's here, but the implementation of the Sydenham Park Master Plan is progressing and is on track as per council adopted actions, and there have been no extensive delays. The exact date of the opening would depend on the outcome of the current procurement process to appoint a contractor and subsequent construction timelines. However, it is anticipated that the project will be completed this financial year.
The next question, Madam Mayor, is from John Heddich, who asks, with the City of Melbourne, Darebin, Port Phillip, Hobsons Bay, Maribyrnong, Wyndham and Brimbank all supportive in principle, how is Brimbank Council now planning to advocate for the East-West Rail Plan to be approved by government?
Council appreciates the importance of the East-West Rail Plan, as was demonstrated by me at the presentation of the East-West Rail proposal by the Rail Futures Institute. As outlined in the question, I have provided in principle support for advocating for this project. Council's advocacy office will be meeting with the RFI representatives shortly, as well as advocacy officers from other councils to discuss potential next steps. Council will be in a position to provide further details on an advocacy approach once these details have been agreed upon and endorsed.
The next question is also from John Heddich, Madam Mayor. He asks, as Council has been developing operating procedures and manuals over the last 12 months, which include risk assessments and safe work method statements, is a safe ventilation plan for the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre being developed to assist management and staff promote safe and healthy community participation and staff work practices.
The Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre has a ventilation system which has been designed during COVID-19 times to operate in the centre to ensure adequate ventilation. In the current climate, for the safety of visitors and staff, the system will be operated as per its design to ensure its maximum efficiency, and a specific safe ventilation plan has not been developed.
The next question is from Graham Bloor, Madam Mayor. He asks, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor and councillors were made aware that the ABC were running a high-profile story about the Canley development and the massive potential problems therein, and attended an on-site meeting with Shadow Minister Ryan Smith on site. Given that the community had advised them of the ABC story the next day on site and asked for their strong advocacy, why was it that neither Madam Mayor, the Deputy Mayor, nor anyone from Brimbank Council was available for a crucial face-to-face interview to be screened on ABC TV News, as well as the ABC website regarding the Council's strong concerns about Development Victoria's plans?
Thank you. So last week, ABC News contacted Council to ask for a comment for a story as it was planning to write on the Canley development, and Council confirmed it would provide a response from the Mayor to any questions that the journalist had. However, the journalist did not send in any questions despite being reminded to do so. Council has made public comment previously about its concerns about Development Victoria's proposed Canley development, and this includes a media release on the matter in April, and also by responding to previous media inquiries on the matter.
The next question from Graham Bloor, Madam Mayor, is given the following facts from www.vic.gov.au/proposed determination allowances, mayors, deputy mayors and councillors consultation paper July 2021 overview roles, why then has Madam Mayor not taken action regarding the virtual ongoing non-attendance and lack of representation of a councillor to her ward when the Mayor was alerted to this behaviour over 5 months ago?
So Division 5 of the Local Government Act in 2020 sets out the roles and obligations of a councillor. The Local Government Act 2020 does not empower anyone, including the Mayor, to require councillors to attend community meetings.
Ashley Shepherd, on behalf of Brimbank Youth Services Dynamic Young Citizens Program, asks, illegally dumped rubbish is a problem in our neighbourhood. Our community would also benefit from beautifying our nature strips. How can we encourage people in our neighbourhood to plant trees on the nature strips with help and funding from Council?
Thank you for your question, Ashley. Council has also developed guidelines that allow residents to plant low shrubs and ground covers on their nature strip. Please contact council for further information. If residents would like a tree in front of their property, please contact council to request a tree.
The next question is also from Ashley Shepherd, Madam Mayor, who asks, how can Brimbank City Council and local schools work together to address topics such as racism and sexism?
Brimbank Council currently supports primary and secondary schools through the implementation of the Resilient Youth Australia survey. Within the survey, there are a number of questions related to safety and connection, which can draw out any concerns from students regarding racism and sexism. After the surveys, Council supports schools to develop initiatives in areas of concerns that were expressed by students.
Margaret Nicolau, Madam Mayor, asks, in regards to the proposed development in Galley, apart from the official submission, what is Council's plan to escalate the issues and concerns of the community?
Council was represented at the public hearing of the Government Land Standing Advisory Committee, which concluded on the 10th of June in 2022. The committee is required to provide its report to the Minister for Planning within 20 business days of the hearing concluding. The public release of the committee's report is at the Minister's discretion. Council's currently unaware if the report has been completed and provided to the Minister. Once more is known about the panel's recommendations and the Minister's consideration, Council will be able to consider its response.
The second question from Margaret Nicolau, Madam Mayor, is why is it that despite the advice of former CEO Dan Martin regarding an expansion of the children's playground in Kevin Flynn Reserve in Galley, which was deemed a flagship playground, that the dog park is still 3 times larger?
As part of Council's capital works budget, $50,000 has been allocated in the 2022-2023 financial year to redesign the playground and picnic area at Kevin Flint Memorial Reserve. Upgrades will follow in future financial years, subject to the Council's annual budget process. Whilst the new dog park has an area of about 8,000 square meters, the playground picnic area along Jones Creek is about 15,000 square meters.
The next question is from Jackie, Madam Mayor, who asks, with the submissions and formal hearing complete, what steps are Council taking to meet with local MPs as a matter of urgency regarding DV's plans for Galley?
Council has met with various MPs and discussed a range of matters, including its concerns about the Development Victoria proposal at Galley, as outlined in its submission to the Government Land Standing Advisory Committee.
The next question, again from Jackie, Madam Mayor, is what is the latest update on the upgrade to Deer Park Library?
Brimbank Council completed the St Albans Library and Deer Park Library preliminary study in 2020, which is the first step in planning for the redevelopment of these facilities. The next stage of planning, which will be detailed design, and it will be considered in the future council budgets.
Those are the questions for tonight, Madam Mayor. There are no further questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Sakurai. And I think the public will have their questions. There are no petitions for this evening, and neither are there minutes of delegated committees. For consideration by council tonight, there are 14 officer reports. Councillors, I wish to advise that in the interest of conducting all the business on tonight's agenda, I will not be granting extensions of speaking time this evening. If you have any alternate or amended motions, you must draft these motions and provide these to the governance team via email so they can share these on the screen and form part of the meeting. Otherwise, we may have to defer the matter until the motion has been written, allowing the meeting to proceed uninterrupted. The first council report that we're going to consider, 30.1, is on the planning activity update and delegate decisions, including planning scheme amendment updates for July 2022. I would like to invite Mr. Kelvin Wash to present this report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide Council with information on the status of planning permit applications and trends in planning approvals in the City of Brimbank and decisions that are made under delegated authority in July of this year. Also, the status of current planning scheme amendments for the period of July 2022. The officer recommendation is that council notes the planning activity update and also notes the planning scheme amendment summary, both of which are attached to the council report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Welsh. Councillors, are there any questions for the director? No. Okay. Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the officer's recommendation in the report.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Kerr.
I second the motion as per the business papers.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
And Councillor Lancashire, a seconder?
I think you mean me, and no, I don't
Yeah.
wish to speak to it. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any councillors like to speak on this motion? I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. We'll now move on to the next report. 13.2, the Climate Emergency Plan Report Card for 2021-2022. Mr. Welsh, would you like to present this report, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for council to receive the Brimbank Climate Emergency Plan annual report card for 21-22, which is year 2 of the action plan, which is attached at attachment 1. And the officers recommend that council notes the report card attached to this report in the business papers. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Papalia.
Yes, I move the motion.
Yes, thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor David.
Second the motion, Madam Mayor, as reading the business papers. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Papalia, would you like to speak on this motion?
Sure, thank you. I would just like to commend this report to council. As the councillor representing the sustainable Brimbank portfolio, I am pleased to announce some of the achievements made this year. Of course, as you all know, there's the Brimbank Wellness and Aquatic Centre, which, for those that don't know, is an Australian first all-electric, 100% renewable energy powered facility. And a Green Star rating. It's classed as world leading, which is pretty exciting. A couple of others, we had the Victorian Energy Collaboration, which means that lights are now powered by 100% renewable energy. That's all for council buildings and sports grounds, community venues. And then, of course, the $3.4 million main road lighting, street lighting project upgrade. So I just wanted to, commend this report to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Papalia. Councillor David, as a seconder, would you like to speak?
No, Madam Mayor, I think Councillor Papalia put it right. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak on the motion? I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. We'll now go on to 13.3, the Draft Economic Development Strategy for 2022 to 2027. Mr. Welsh, could you please present this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for council to consider the Draft Economic Development Strategy 2022 to 2027, which is attached at attachment 1 in the business papers for the purpose of undertaking community consultation. The officer recommendation is that council endorses the draft at attachment 1, also notes the background report shown at attachment 2, and make that available to the public on our website, and also receives at a future date a report summarising the feedback received from the community consultation, which would also include any recommended changes to the draft and a final draft at that subsequent meeting. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any questions for Mr. Welsh, councillors? There are none. I guess I'll ask, is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Rasic.
I move the motion as per business papers. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Borg.
I second the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Rasic, would you like to speak on this motion as the mover?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Some of the key pillars of my prosperous Brimbank portfolio include investment, job attraction, strategy planning, and economic development. The draft Brimbank economic development strategy is an important one. The Brimbank municipality is in the midst of transformational change through a combination of significant investment, job and regional population growth, and microeconomic changes brought about by the COVID pandemic. Council is seeking to optimize the growth and development opportunities for Brimbank and strengthen its position as the centre of Melbourne's West. Council has prepared a new 5-year draft economic development strategy, which aims to grow and support the local economy through business development, support and growth, investment, attraction and facilitation, employment participation and growth. Our new draft strategy recognises that Brimbank enjoys a strong competitive advantage afforded by its location, connectivity, proximity to a growing and diverse workforce, major infrastructure. Brimbank also has major economic and employment areas that support a strong and diverse economy with strengths in manufacturing, transport and logistics, wholesale trade, construction, healthcare and education and training. Brimbank is poised for significant city-shaping transport investment that will create further economic uplift in improving access to jobs, education and housing. This is important as Brimbank also continues to experience significant disadvantage and higher unemployment rates. The draft strategy identifies 10 priorities that underpin 4 strategic themes: a productive, innovative, and sustainable business base, vibrant, prosperous, and accessible precinct and places, an engaged and job-ready community, and leading the way in economic development practices. The draft strategy includes a 5-year implementation program which identifies 64 actions with each of the strategic goals under these 4 themes. The draft strategy has been informed by stakeholder workshop, a business survey, and research and analysis. Finally, the next step is to make the draft strategy publicly available so that our community can provide feedback to inform its finalisation. I commend this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rasic. Councillor Borg as a seconder, would you like to speak on this?
I just want to say that this is a highly comprehensive document, and I would like to acknowledge all the work that has been done by Leanne Dees and all her staff. Thank you for all the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other councillors like to speak on this motion? There are none. We'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. Moving on to the 13.4 Transforming Brimbank update for 2021 to 2022. Mr. Welsh, can you please present this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to receive the Transforming Brimbank update, detailing actions in the 2021-2022 year, and also technical consultants' reports that are intended to inform the upcoming precinct planning for Sunshine Priority Precinct by the Department of Transport. The officer recommendation is that Council notes the update at attachment 1 and notes the technical reports at attachment 2 and 3, and notes that they will be shared with the Department of Transport. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Welsh. Are there any council's questions? None, we'll proceed on to asking if there's a mover of a motion. Councillor Borg,
I'll move the motion as per business papers.
thank you. Is there a seconder? Deputy Mayor,
I second the motion. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
thank you. Councillor Borg, as the mover, would you like to speak on this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As we know, in the next decade, Brimbank will be undergoing a significant transformation. Billions of dollars of development and infrastructure will be delivered. During these last 12 months, constructive dialogue between council, state government, and other stakeholders have taken place. As a result of this, the state government has responded constructively through a number of actions that are included in the report. During the next 12 months, Council continues to work with the state government on a number of projects that are included in this report. Council officers commissioned the preparation of the draft urban structure framework reports for the Sunshine National Employment and Innovative Cluster Framework Report and the Sunshine Metropolitan Activities Center Urban Structure Framework Report. These two technical reports are also included for noting. I commend this report to Council.
Thank you. Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to acknowledge the hard work of the team and commend the report to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors who would like to speak on this report or motion? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. We'll now move on to the 13.5 governance report for August 2022. Can I please ask Ms. Georgie Hill to present this report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The governance report is a standing item within the monthly council meeting agenda. It is a summary of recent governance and operational activity, which is presented in compliance with the Local Government Act 2020 and various statutory policies made under that Act. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And I'd like to acknowledge here that this is Ms. Hill's first council meeting in her capacity as our Director for Advocacy, Partnerships and Community Engagement. Councillors, are there any questions for Ms. Hill? No questions. Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Rasic.
Vote the motion as per business papers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rasic. Is there a seconder? Councillor Kerr.
I second the motion for the report as per the business papers. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rasic, would you like to speak on this motion as the mover?
Just quickly, I shared the innovative portfolio with Council Lancashire. This portfolio includes property. The governance report is standing monthly report that sets out the key governance activity as part of Council's commitment to public transparency and good governance. There are no specific items of note in this month's governance report, and I commend this report to Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr, as seconder, would you like to speak on this motion?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Would any other councillors like to speak on this motion? I'd like to put the motion to the vote. So please, if you're in favour, please raise your hand. Any councillors against the motion? Abstaining? Well, that motion carries. Now we'll move on to the next report, which is the 13.6 Council Plan Quarterly Progress Report for Year 1, Quarter 4. And Ms. Hill, I would like to invite you to present this report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Together We Are Brimbank is the foundational strategic document of Council, integrating Council's community vision, Council Plan 2021 to 2025, and the Municipal Public Health and Wellbeing Plan. Implementation of the Together We Are Brimbank is monitored and evaluated through quarterly reporting of 125 distinct Council actions. The report before Council tonight details the status of actions for the Year 1, Quarter 4 period from April till June 2022. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Hill, councillors? No questions. Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Borg.
I'll move the motion as per business papers.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Is there a seconder? Councillor Liu.
I'll second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. Councillor Borg, as the mover, would you like to speak on this motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just briefly, this is a quarterly progress report. Out of the 125 actions, 123 council plan actions were completed. The other 2 council plan actions continue to be implemented, but are delayed due to extenuating circumstances. I commend this report to council.
Appreciate the speaking. And then Councillor Liu, would you like to speak as seconder?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would any other councillors like to speak in this motion? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And next is 13.7, the Advocacy Report, the community campaign for Melbourne Airport's proposed 3rd runway. Ms. Hill, I'd like to ask you to present this report, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This advocacy report updates Council on the developments relating to Melbourne's airport proposed 3rd runway and seeks Council's endorsement for a community activation campaign. Council's campaign will seek firstly to increase community awareness of the severity of the health impacts of a 3rd runway, as well as the impacts on student education and cognitive behaviour. The campaign will also urge the Australian Government to commission an independent health impact assessment of a potential 3rd runway at Melbourne Airport. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Any questions, councillors? No questions. Councillors, is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Tarkos.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the motion as per business papers. Thank you.
Is there a seconder of the motion? Councillor Papalia.
Yes, I second the motion.
Noted. Councillor Tarkos, as the mover, would you like to speak on this motion?
Yep, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll just like to firstly commend Calvin and Leanne's department and work on the council's comprehensive submission, which has been such an important piece of work for putting our community's health and well-being in perspective, and particularly of the greatest impact that if the proposed 3rd runway goes ahead will impact the whole of Brimbank, not just Keilor. It will impact Keilor, Kealba, Keilor Downs and St Albans, and there will be experience of noise where noise was not, aviation noise was not present before. So the independent health impact report that we did is absolutely important that we get out to our community in explaining that this will not be a normal, type of noise. It will be ongoing, and there will be not much, quietness between the flights. The community campaign, I think, aims to galvanise our community behind this important submission and concerns regarding the impacts, especially on children and schools, and that's where I want to touch on tonight. In my area, there are schools that have been told that they will possibly close down. I have very, very anxious parents, and school council representatives calling me and saying, where are our representatives, our state representatives talking about this issue? I have to say, I'm very impressed that our Sydney member, who's also the Minister for Education, Minister Hutchins, said that, she has concerns about, the children, especially with learning. That is a huge concern, but it's not enough. We need other state representatives to actually stand up and express concerns about the impacts this will have. I mean, we're not talking about small impacts. These are learning development impacts on children in Brimbank. So the schools are looking to leadership, and I'm proud to say that this council has stood up and is showing the great leadership that they expect from their local councillors representing them. This is what we were elected to do, is to review information for any kind of projects that are going to impact our community. And this in particular is one that's a very serious health impacts. So I really commend this community campaign. I'm going to be very highly involved with it in getting this conversation out to the community and getting the support behind this submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. Councillor Papalia, as a seconder, would you like to speak on this motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Takos. I'll certainly be supporting our community on this one. As you all know, the third runway will mean over 200 flights a day over parts of Brimbank. We now know that the health risks are unacceptable and they are concerning, and they will impact many in our community, including our children. I think what's obvious here is that the health and well-being of our community must be fairly considered in the decision-making process. I couldn't agree more with the officer recommendation. We must stand with our community and take their health seriously. I just also wanted to say well done to all of those involved in this piece. I feel like we are in a really great position and have taken the right steps for ensuring the best outcomes for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Papalia. Is there another councillor who would like to speak on this motion? If there are no further speakers, I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. All those against the motion, please raise your hand. And that motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to the next report, which is 13.8, the contract 22/3167, lawn maintenance, municipal grass cutting, rubbish removal, and nature strip services. Ms. Lindley Dumble, I invite you to present this report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report presents the tender evaluation and recommendation for the award of contract number 22/3167, lawn maintenance and grass cutting and rubbish removal, general parks maintenance and mowing. A public tender process was conducted on the 26th of April this year, inviting suitable experienced contractors to submit a tender response under a deed of standing offer panel arrangement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dumble. Is there a question for the director councillors? No. Is there a mover of the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I've got a question.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think it's mentioned also nature strip services. What's that means, please?
Thank you, Councillor David. So this responds mainly to where there's local laws have had to, I guess, instruct some removal or cleanup of particular locations. So that relates to that particular on the public lawns, the lawn and rubbish removal as well. So the action, and then it also relates to people's home lawns that are clients of Council's home support program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions, councillors? I'll now ask, is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Tarkos.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the motion as per business papers.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Is there a seconder? Councillor Kerr.
I'll second the motion as per the business papers.
Thank you. Councillor Tarkos, as the mover, would you like to speak on the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
And Councillor Kerr, as the seconder, would you like to speak?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would any of the councillors like to speak in this motion? I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. And we're on to 13.9, the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre Operational July Update. Ms. Lindley, can you please present
Thank
this
you,
report?
Madam Mayor. This report provides Council with an update on the operational planning for the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre and a recommendation for the endorsement of Aboriginal language names for 7 rooms at the centre. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? I'll now ask if there is a mover for a motion. Is there a mover? Councillor Dang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish to move the motion as per screen shared.
Thank you, Councillor Dang. Is there a seconder? Councillor Liu.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Liu. Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on this motion as the mover?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I congratulate the team on adopting the recommendation on the original language name for the room, the 7 room at the Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre. I recommend the report to Council.
Thank you, Councillor Dang. Councillor Liu, would you like to speak on this as seconder?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in this motion? None? I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. We'll now move on to 13.10, youth mental health.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Ms. Dumble, would you like to present? Yes, I see you're very eager to.
Thank you. This report is for Council to consider noting the update on programs to support mental health and wellbeing of young people and the recommendation to create 2 temporary youth wellbeing officer positions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Dumble? Councillor Liu.
Just you mentioned temporary. Is that for 1 year, 2 years, and we assess that afterward, or how's that?
Thank you, Councillor Liu. It is proposed for 2 years, and we will definitely then assess it based on, I guess, many of the services that will be coming to Brimbank over the next couple of years to support mental health and wellbeing.
Thank you.
Yes. And as the Mayor, I would like to speak on this report. COVID-19, the pandemic has no doubt been a very tough period for the Brimbank community. As the Mayor, an area of my great focus has been to engage with the young people of Brimbank. At school visits and many other youth engagements, a frequent concern that has been raised by our young people has been the issue of mental health. Not only has it been challenging for young people and their families to navigate mental health services, the demand exceeds the need required. And this is something I've been aware of at other councils such as Melbourne and Moonee Valley, who are trying to advocate for a headspace in their area. And the wait lists for services for young people are quite a while. And this is something I've been frequently advocating to our state and federal representatives for. And I'm proud to say that there is currently a strong focus on mental health and well-being of young people. And it's great to see that the council is increasing its focus and resourcing in this area. The recruitment of 2 temporary 2-year full-time youth wellbeing officers in the Youth Services Unit will enable Brimbank Council to expand its support of better mental health and well-being for young people in Brimbank. And this is a report I highly commend and endorse. Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Deputy Mayor Dang.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish to move the motion at share screen.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Borg.
I second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak on this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Accessing to mental health services is a significant challenging for young people due to a number of issues, such as lack of support, resources, and mental health professionals. Thanks to Council Mental Wellbeing Plan, which contribute into the reforms of the state's mental health services. I congratulate Director Dumbo and the team on the positive change of mental health services for the Brimbank community. I totally support and commend this report to Council.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Councillor Borg, as a seconder, would you like to speak on this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's great to see this report coming to Council for endorsement. As already mentioned, mental health is a significant issue. Indeed, sometimes it is referred to as the silent epidemic. Generally, young people are struggling to meet their challenges, which have been exacerbated by COVID. The Resilient Youth Australia survey identified an increased anxiety and tension within families, disengagement from school, and uncertainty about the future, as well as lack of connection to friends and social groups. Brimbank Council continues to focus on this subgroup of the population. The proposed recruitment of 2 temporary, that is 2 years, full-time youth well-being officers is highly welcomed. I want to thank Lynn Lee and her team for their continuous hard work in supporting young people, especially during this critical time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Would any other councillor like to speak on this motion? Councillor Papalia.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Councillor Nguyen and also Ms. Dumble's team, I think you guys have done a really, really great job on this. And I just think it's great that our council are leading the way. This is such an important topic. And I think we all know the impacts of when we don't support mental health, and we need to give our young people the tools that they need. And I'm really pleased to see this council doing that. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Papalia. Would anybody else like to speak in this motion? Councillor Brunton.
Thank you. Yes, I have been following the mental health work that the council have been doing because they tell me about it as part of the healthy portfolio, and it's always one of the best parts. It's just a feel-good thing because from the start of our term, council has been working towards these more resources towards it, and it is important. At the same time that I was hearing these reports from them, I had just got my diagnosis for bipolar. And so to hear that local government is now going to provide resources for people like me who didn't get them, I have really enjoyed that part. So thank you to the team for taking that initiative before we had to do anything, before any other councils have really done it, to start getting involved in the mental health stuff. So yeah, thank you to Lindley and her team.
Thank you. Any other speakers? I'll now put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. We'll now move on to the report 13.11, Waste, Recycling and Litter Strategy 2018 to 2028 Community Report Card for 2021 and 2022. I would like to invite Mr. Neil Whiteside to present this report.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor. Council adopted the Waste, Recycling and Litter Strategy in 2018 and noted the 5-year Waste, Recycling and Litter Strategy Implementation Plan for 2018 to 2023. On an annual basis, a community report card is presented to Council to provide an update on actions undertaken as part of the implementation plan. The purpose of this report is to present the community report card for year 4, which is at attachment 1 to the report, highlighting the key achievements for the 2021-2022 financial year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteside. Are there any questions for the director councillors? No questions. Is there a mover of a motion? Councillor Papalia.
I move the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. As per business papers. And councillor, any other councillors want to second this? Councillor Liu.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll second that 13.2 as business paper. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Councillor Papali, would you like to speak in this motion?
Yes, I will. Just to say that this report card forms the status report on year 4 of the implementation plan. I would like to thank the officers involved in preparing the strategy and those involved in implementing the plan. I don't know about anyone else, but I've started not recycling, using my green bin for food scraps, and I thought it would be really weird because it's every 2 weeks, but it's actually been really good. And I think it's good to see the progress made in this space, even hearing different people talk about it that perhaps maybe wouldn't really be interested. So yeah, I commend this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Papalia. And Councillor Liu, as a seconder, would you like to speak on this?
Pretty much just a little bit on this one, Madam Mayor. I think the way the council has approached this and slowly implement the process of the bins in stages is a great idea, and I think the credit to all the officers involved. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Liu. Anyone else like to speak on this motion? None. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That carries. And 13.12, creating better parks policy and plan. Community report card for 2021-2022. Mr. Whiteside.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor. Council adopted the updated Creating Better Parks Policy and Plan in 2016. On an annual basis, a community report card is presented to Council to provide a summary of the implementation of the policy and plan. The purpose of this report is to present the community report card for the 2021-2022 financial year, which is an attachment 1 to the report, which details the park upgrade works completed as part of the annual budget and also proposed changes to park classifications as outlined in the Creating Better Parks Policy and Plan based on the annual assessments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteside. Any questions, councillors?
Yes.
Councillor Tockworth.
Thanks. I'd like to ask Director Neil Whiteside, how does a park undergo a reclassification? Is it a process that there's certain indicators that they have to meet?
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you for the question. Yes, that's exactly right. So as detailed in the policy and plan document, there is a process that officers use based on a number of criteria that determine whether a park should or should not be reclassified depending on whether those criteria are reached or not. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? None. Thanks, Mr. Whiteside. Any mover of a motion? Councillor Tarkos.
Thanks. I'd like to move the motion as per the business papers. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rasic.
Second the motion as per business papers. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tarkos, Desden Beaver, would you like to speak?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say that, yeah, I'm really passionate about parks and open spaces and green spaces. I think they're so important and integral to our community's physical and mental health. Very proud of this council for investing the way it does into our parks. It certainly sets a very gold standard in terms of parks. I can honestly say that when I look at state parks and the state they're in at the moment, our parks far surpass, and I actually wish that we could take over some of the state parks and give them the TLC that we give our own parks. I'd like to say that's a really good spread of parks as well. There's pocket parks, there's also a skate park, off-leash dog park. So we're covering a lot of different, facets that people choose to do their recreation. I'm especially really proud of the park that's been developed in Keilor Park. Keilor Park is an often forgotten area of Brimbank. And I've got to say the people of Keilor Park are absolutely thrilled to bits about getting this upgrade, and they're getting a ninja circuit, they're getting a barbecue area, they're also getting a toilet, which, can I just say, is really important because although there's a lot of sports grounds there, a lot of them are locked up, and it's very hard from that area to get to a toilet. So I just like to really applaud the great work that our department does. I think that we set an example out there of what we can achieve in parks, and this is money well spent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Councillor Rasic, as a seconder, would you like to speak?
Councillor Tarkos summed it up really well, so I echo her words. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak in this motion? Councillor Kerr.
Thank you. Well, first of all, on behalf of the Keilor Downs community, I just want to say thank you to officers and my fellow councillors who supported my motion for Odessa Reserve. This has been on the cards for the last 30 years, and the fact that the park has been upgraded and also given $500,000 worth of funding, it just shows that, to everyone in the community, if you do have a park in mind that you want upgraded, please reach out to councillors in your ward. And it's fantastic to see this process from the beginning, and I'll be, keenly watching it to its completion. So thanks again to all the officers and the councillors who helped me support and get this park through. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Borg, I saw that you wanted to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just briefly, important to note that approximately $44 million have been invested in parks over this since 2008. That is quite a substantial amount of money. As a councillor for Grasslands Ward, I would like to highlight the upgrades in this ward, including Peppermint Grove Reserve, which is a local park at Galley, Cororoid Creek Shared Used Path Extension, Isabella Williams Reserve to Shepherd's Grove, Kings Park, Kevin Flint Memorial Reserve, Dock of Leash Reserve in Galley, Neighborhood Park upgrade at Elford Green Reserve, Galley. It's important to note also that the neighborhood park upgrade has been impacted by COVID-related impacts, including supply issues or contractor availability, slightly delaying completion. This report card also includes the review and update of Creating Better Parks Policy 2016, which highlighted the requirement to review the classification of a park due to changes over time. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any councillors like to speak in this motion? Councillor David.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very briefly, like the other councillors, I was very happy to see that the Phoenix Street side, the park there is completed, and thank you for that. On behalf of the Harvester Ward, we say thank you. It looks very well indeed. It's been reclassified from neighborhood park to suburban park, so everybody enjoys that park now in North Sunshine. Thanks again.
Thank you, Councillor David. Anyone else like to speak in this motion? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. In a similar vein, we'll move on to 1313, which is the final draft for creating streets for people policy. Mr. Whiteside.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. At the council meeting on the 19th of April this year, council endorsed the draft Creating Streets for People policy for community consultation. The draft policy was released for community and stakeholder consultation for a 4-week period, ending on the 10th of June this year. Council received 2 submissions and a summary of the issues raised in the submissions, and the council offers the considerations and recommendations is at attachment 2 to the report. The purpose of this report is for council to consider adopting the final draft Creating Streets for People policy, which is attachment 1 to the report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Whiteside. Any questions, councillors? No questions. Is there a mover of the motion? Councillor Liu.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the final draft Creating Street for People policies as per stream.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Tarkos.
I second that as per business papers, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Liu, as the mover, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As the champion of the Connecting Brimbank portfolio, I was very aware of how during the severe time of during COVID-19 restriction, we lockdown after lockdown, when we torn faces the longest lockdown in Australia, local streets become very vital, important for our communities, for people walking, exercising. Our street provided much welcome with refuge for during the lockdowns. So this final draft Creating a Street for People policy, Madam Mayor, has been prepared to guide the future design of our streets within Brimbank. The policy document itself proposed a rethink how council to manage, design our street and make the street greener and more friendly for pedestrians and cyclists alike. The benefit of this draft is also we make council rethink on the functioning of the council, how they manage the street. We ensure the community celebrates, engage in living locally, while in the greener and more active streets for future improve of livable Brimbank, while ensuring the municipality has resilience for future climate shocks and stress. The final draft Creating Street for People policy is an important one, Madam Mayor, for all Brimbank residents and visitors. So I strongly commend this report to council. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Liu. Councillor Tarkos, as a seconder, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what Councillor Liu said. I think this is a really important document because the streets are the first things that we see when we enter a suburb, and they give us the first impression of a town. And I think the particular one that in my area, St Albans is one of the most dense suburb in Brimbank, and there has been a lot of development. And when I drive through it, it's a different St Albans to what you would have seen 10 years ago. And the impressions that you see really leave a lasting view of tree canopy is so important, especially if there's much more development. That means that the amenity is much more heated, and therefore you do need a better ratio of trees. And by trees, I don't mean just large trees, but they can also be, you know, the water retention habitats that have been created, which are fantastic there, that draw other, you know, species as well. Also the walkability. We've got a lot of elderly people, and their mobility is also dictated by the quality of our streetscapes. If there are uneven, you know, and poor quality streets, people are, you know, elderly people really struggle, you know, to walk this is a very important document. It does say creating accessible and equitable spaces, but also spaces that we feel a sense of pride when we're walking through. And I think this is a really great start. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Any other people want to speak in this motion? Councillor Borg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to acknowledge the submissions from the members of the community and stakeholders. It was interesting to go through them. A number of changes have been made to the final draft of the Creating Streets for People policy. One of them attracted my attention, perhaps a little bit more than the others, namely P23 bullet point, edit, incorporating gender analysis into the design of projects to ensure compliance with the Gender Equity Act 2020 or updated legislation. Great to see this final draft policy coming to Council for endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Let's put the motion to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That carries. And last officer report 13.14, the Green Gully Reserve Northern Precinct Enhancement Plan Project. This is the August 2022 update. Mr. Whiteside.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide Council with an update on the implementation of the Green Gully Reserve Northern Precinct Enhancement Plan project. The report provides updates on the following: project details, design update, including schematic design details, and the revised project budget based on escalating construction costs, details provided within the confidential attachment to the report, an update on the native grass offset process, and also an update on the proposed project program. Further updates will be provided to Council as the implementation of the project continues. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Whiteside. Any councillors who would like to raise a question? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you for the report, Mr. Whiteside. I understand that the cost arrangements are to be pushed out with this report, which sort of drives two questions. One, does it have any implications in terms of our sports facility plan, works program, and in terms of other sporting facilities? And secondly, does this have any implications for meeting our, because we have had a shortfall from the past that we've been playing catch up with. Does this have any implications for local sporting groups with this extension of time? Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Through you, thank you for the questions, Councillor Lancashire. In relation to the first question, the report does detail the revised budget, albeit confidential, for Council's consideration, and obviously that will need to be considered as part of the annual budget process for 23-24 to understand obviously the implications in that regard for other capital works projects. In relation to the second question, from my perspective, it really is a matter of continuing to progress the development of new sports grounds as per the sports facility development plan. It's ultimately up to Council to determine the progression of that plan associated obviously in combination with the annual budget process. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteside. Any further questions, councillors? None. Any mover of a motion? Councillor Tokos?
I move the motion as per business papers.
Thank you, Councillor Tokos. Is there a seconder? Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to second the motion as per the business papers. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tokos as the mover, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, this has been a long time in the development. I remember when we first did our bus tour with the first term, we went around to all the sports facilities, and one of the biggest pressures that we had is lack of space for sports facilities. Our commitment to our community is to improve health outcomes, because we do rate, unfortunately, as having some of the lowest health outcomes in the state. So when we did go on that bus tour, we did notice that there was space available at the back of Green Gully. And in talking to a lot of sports groups over the years, people have said, when are you going to actually do something about developing that space? Now, I understand there is also an offset that's going to be considered, which, you know, it's not, I felt bad about that particular situation, because we need to weigh up our needs of our community with that offset. I also understand that that's the side of where the tip was in the Keilor tip, and that we've been monitoring and remediating that tip as well. However, the sports facility will be away from that. And I think overall that the community needs to be taken into consideration for sports and other, you know, activities and activation. This space has been sitting there and it's been virtually dead space, while the community is ringing us daily saying we need more sports grounds, we need more facilities. Our kids are, you know, struggling to get, or, you know, sports clubs are struggling to get grounds everywhere, from Keilor Park right to the, you know, other side of Brimbank. And this is an opportunity we need to seize. If we don't do it now, it's only going to cost us more in the future to build. And I think I don't see it as a, you know, Keilor or Keilor Downs facility. It's a Brimbank facility, and I see all facilities the same and as important to build. If we don't do it now, our community is demands for sports is only going to grow, and it's going to be unmet.
Thank you, Councillor Tokos. Councillor Lancashire, would you like to speak as seconder?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd like to endorse the comments made by Councillor Tokos. I also recall the bus tour that we went on in the early days of last term, and to see the lack of facilities, the poor condition of facilities, and how we'd fallen well behind in meeting community expectations for parks, recreation, for facilities across our municipality. This council, the councillors have been working very hard over several years now to try and play catch up with all of these shortages of facilities and the needs of local sports groups. And this is another one of those major facilities that is very important in working towards catching up. If we want to be you know, the centre of the West, we need to have a good array of facilities. Certainly our new leisure centre is an example of that. However, this type of facility is very much one of those sort of things that adds to the significance of Brimbank as a major sporting precinct within the West, and certainly brings us a lot closer towards catching up with where we should be in meeting our the needs of our sportsmen and women, and our sports and the sports kids that are looking for grounds every week. So I would strongly recommend that we support this. This is great. I understand that because of cost pressure, there'll be a delay in its completion. However, we are still moving forward on this. So thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. Councillor Dave, I see you have the hand icon up. Did you want to raise
Yes,
a point of?
thank you,
Did you
Madam
wanna
Mayor.
speak?
Yes, indeed. And I'm going back to Councillor Lou earlier. He mentioned the word connecting. And what a wonderful thing with sporting grounds, sporting facilities where people connect, young and old. And indeed, especially young people, young children taken to sport, regardless of their choice of sport, is what I always call investment. You take those kids out of the streets, and at the very end, you teach them teamwork, discipline, decision-making, respect, and all the type of thing. So they train a couple of days a week, they're playing on the weekend, and they got a couple of days to stay home and study. And that's a wonderful thing. That's an investment for our community. And we need more of these sporting grounds. I wish we had more open spaces to develop these sporting facilities. It's a great thing. And I always support it, and I continue to support that because I know what's happening out of those kids. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor David. My recommendation is put your hand up. Yep, thank you. Any other councillors like to speak on this? Councillor Borg.
I would like to reiterate my fellow councillors' comments. The critical role that sports play for communities' health and well-being is well established. In Brimbank, the demand for such facilities far outweighs the supply. The development of new sports facilities at Green Galley Reserve has been a priority for quite some time. I understand that the costs have significantly increased. However, I strongly believe that the social capital benefits would far outweigh the financial costs. Green Galley Reserve is always buzzing with sports activities, especially on the weekend. This prospective development will be very much welcomed by the community. And for this reason, I do support this report.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Any other councillors like to speak on this? Let's put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That carries. We'll now move on to notices of motion. And there is one notice of motion for consideration. Councillors, I might want to remind you that a notice of motion must be moved as printed in the papers. And only if seconded can amendment be moved. The notice of motion that we have is 14.1, improve regulation of e-cigarettes. Councillor Tarkas.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move this motion as per Sheds Green.
Thanks, Councillor Tarkas. Is there a second now? Councillor Kerr.
I second the motion as per the business papers. Thanks.
Councillor Tarkas, would you like to speak on this notice of motion?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This motion arose from several, quite a few parents and also individual kids, teenagers who approached me about the presence of e-cigarettes that is taking hold and in many ways becoming very prevalent in our community. A couple of weeks ago, there was an ABC program called Vape Haze, which was on the 27th of June 22, and it showed the extent to which importers and retailers of e-cigarettes are breaking the law. In essence, e-cigarettes containing nicotine are highly accessible because individual entrepreneurs and businesses can import them with ease, and retailers feel able to stock them with impunity. Combine high accessibility with attractive and colourful flavours, plus online marketing targeted at children, and it is little wonder that kids and young adults are getting hooked on e-cigarettes very easily and to nicotine. Now, I was also approached by a teenager at a local school who said that when she goes to the toilet, she no longer can breathe because of all the kids basically smoking at once these e-cigarettes. They smuggle them into the school and on their breaks, they are continually, and that's affecting other kids who may have asthma or may trigger other, allergies. The NHMRC evidence review found that e-cigarette aerosols contain dozens of chemicals known or suspected to be harmful if inhaled, causing irreversible lung damage. And I don't want to scare people, but there's 20 chemicals, and some of them are acrolein, formaldehyde, mercury, benzene, toluene, and cadmium were detected that are harmful if inhaled and are potentially to be lethal. So although they're packaged in a nice, colourful and playful and flavoured way, what the community and a lot of these kids are actually inhaling is a cocktail of serious chemicals. This motion is primarily, in conclusion, I'm very concerned about the impact of these e-cigarettes on our local youth. And through this motion, I just call for stricter regulation to lessen their availability and possibly have certain conditions on buying them, and to advocate for health campaigns to be run based on prevention. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Councillor Kerr, as a seconder, would you like to speak?
I'd just like to congratulate Councillor Tarkos for actually bringing this situation to council. It's a fact that 1 in 5 school students are vaping at the moment. So it is a serious concern in our community. And I'd like to thank Councillor Tarkos for listening to the community concerns and sharing it here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Any other councillors speaking this motion? If there are no others, I'd like to put the notice of motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. Now, there are no rescission motions. May I please ask the CEO, Ms. Fiona Blair, if there is any urgent business?
Yes, Madam Mayor, there is one item that is appropriate for council to consider admitting as urgent business. It relates to the appointment of an alternate to the Municipal Association of Victoria Special State Council meeting to be held on the 16th of September 2022.
Thank you, Ms. Blair. Councillors, I wish to speak on raising an urgent business motion. So for the duration of this, I will now vacate the chair, and the Deputy Mayor will now assume the chair for the duration. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. You're now the chair of this meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now I would like to invite Madam Mayor to present their notice of motion.
Well, first I'll move a procedural motion that council considers the admitting of the appointment of an alternate to the Municipal Association of Victoria, so MAV, the Special State Council to be held on the 6th of September of 2022 as urgent business. And this is on the basis that it relates to or arises out of a matter which has arisen since the distribution of the agenda, being the leave of absence request of Councillor Tui Dang to be considered by council, which was included in the agenda for this council meeting, and cannot safely or be conveniently be deferred until the next council meeting, as the MAV Special State Council will occur before the next scheduled council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Now that we have to determine to admit this item of urgent business, may I have a mover of motion to appoint an alternative? Councillor Bruce Lancashire.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Yes, I recommend the urgent business item as suggested. It would be in urgent business. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. Is there a second of the motion?
Point of order. Councillor Dang, I believe I moved the motion, the procedural motion, and that needs to be seconded.
Right. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, this Councillor Lancashire is seconded. Yeah,
Happy to second that, Acting Madam Mayor.
thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lancashire. So would you like to speak to the motion, Madam Mayor?
Oh, no,
No?
this is a procedural motion.
Just the
for urgent
procedure.
business. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. I declare this motion carried. Thank you, Madam Mayor. You are now the chair of the meeting.
Point of order, Madam Deputy Mayor, I'll now need to move that was a procedural motion to have an urgent business item. I'd now like to move a substantive motion that Council appoints Councillor Papalia as alternate to the Municipal Association of Victoria Special State Council to be held on the 6th of September 2022.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So is there a seconder of the motion? Thank you, Councillor Lancashire.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Yes, I do second the motion as put forward in the screen. Thank you.
Thank you. So I put the motion to the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. I declare this motion carried. Thank you, Madam Mayor. You are now the chair of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. And we'll now move on to confidential business, of which there is one item. May I please have a mover of a motion to close the meeting in accordance with Section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020 to members of the public for the consideration of Report 17.1, which has been designated confidential. Is there a mover? Councillor Borg.
I'll move the motion as per business papers. Thank you. Or to close rather the meeting as confidential. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
Second motion.
Councillor Borg, would you like to speak on that?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
And Councillor Papalia?
No, thanks.
Any councillors? Speak? No. We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion carries. So thank you to everyone who is currently viewing the live stream of this meeting. This meeting will now be closed to members of the public. He will be placed in the holding bay for the duration of the consideration of Confidential Report 17.1. And for our public members, you'll soon receive a prompt from Zoom asking you to be a panelist. Please select join as a panelist so that we are able to place you in the holding bay. If you don't select this, we'll need to remove you from the Zoom webinar. And we'll reopen the meeting to the public after this item is considered by council. And the meeting is now closed to members of the public at 8:34 p.m. Thank you again for your patience. I declare this meeting reopened at 8:45 p.m. Council has considered the confidential report 17.1 and resolved that it will remain confidential at this stage. Thank you all for attending and for your interest in tonight's meeting. I declare this meeting closed at 8:45 p.m. I instruct the host to stop live streaming the meeting. Bye, everyone.